The Campbell Camels are one of the best alliterations in college basketball. They welcome Coach John Andrzejek as the team's head coach for the 2025-26 season. Coach just clipped the nets at the Alamo Dome at the Final Four as he worked on Coach Todd Golden's staff the last two seasons in helping to guide the Gators to that 54-16 record over the back-to-back seasons. Coach, it's a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited to talk about our program, how we're going to build this thing, and how just excited I am to be the Campbell head coach. This is a great school with a great tradition, really strong fan base. Every day I got new alumni, donors, whoever it may be, reaching out that are excited for our new style of play, our new staff, the players we're bringing in. And the best part for me is yesterday we got to have our first summer workout with the group. So we're starting to move out of that phase of building a team and assembling a roster and getting a staff and moving into that phase of trying to get better and trying to build a team that can win games.
What were the key dynamics of the Campbell Camels basketball that were important in bringing you to Buies Creek, North Carolina?
I love the area. I grew up in a small town in upstate New York. Had a lot of pets as a kid, rode horses, all that stuff. And then we had a lot of success in Pullman when I was an assistant coach at Washington State.
Yeah.
And those two places in my background, those two periods in my life, I think are very relevant to being down here in the creek in this community because this is a great place to build culture. This is a great place to develop as players and as people. So we're going to bring in talented guys, but we're going to bring in guys that fit our culture well, and we're going to trust that this ecosystem that they have here is going to allow them to become the best versions of themselves, both on the court and off the court.
As you were Florida's defensive coordinator on the national championship team, discuss some of the week by week endeavors that made the team effective in finishing sixth in defensive efficiency, according to the Ken Palm ratings.
Yeah, it wasn't always smooth sailing. I mean, it was a process and give our guys a lot of credit. Like they worked at it and we were pretty transfer heavy. We had a number of guys from different backgrounds and they had played different styles of defense and in the different places they'd been before. So it took some time to put it all together and get everybody on the same page about how we were going to guard everything. I think it was a little bit trial by fire. Like we were in such a great conference, the SEC, with so many NCAA tournament teams, so many top 10 offenses that really by necessity, if we wanted to keep winning these games and have a chance to win our league and advance in the NCAA tournament, we were going to have to keep innovating and keep getting a little bit better and better, But the other side of it is too is like we had some individual players that really helped. Elijah Martin from FAU came in and he's just a super competitive, willful dude. Like those qualities are unbelievably important for a team. And he made us have better practices with his urgency, and with his will. And then Ruben Chinyelu helped a lot too. He came from Washington State, tough dude with great feet, big body, but he could show and he could blitz and he could trap and he could switch, he could do a lot of different things on the perimeter that allowed us to defend in a more versatile way than maybe in past seasons.
Campbell returns one starter in Cam Gregory, but you were able to put together a solid roster with some solid transfers such as Chris Fields Jr., who comes into Campbell from Norfolk State, where you saw him as the Gators' first round NCAA opponent.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited about some of the transfers we've added to the program already. Obviously, Chris gave us 14 with Norfolk State. He's an athletic, tough kid, can score in a multitude of ways, whether in transition, in the post, off drives, can make some threes, get some old boards. But there's some others too. Staying in the front court, Munir Newton is a guy I'm really excited about from Delaware State. Tough kid, strong, super physical, fits our style of play. got great feet on the other end of the floor where he can show and switch and do some things that allow us to be more versatile. And then in the backcourt, adding Jeremiah Johnson from Green Bay, who put up nice stats there, and now is just trying to be a part of, or just trying to win more games this year. Bottom line, he's a good athlete, good with the ball, can use some ball screens, make some plays. We also added DJ Smith from Robert Morris, who was a started for an NCAA tournament team that won a ton of games. He's super quick. He can really shoot the ball. He's a good organizer, getting people in the right spots. Amiri Stewart, I think, will be very good for us from Sacred Heart. Good athlete, thrives in transition, wants to guard you, has a great personality, a lot of pep and energy that he brings. And then Enoch Kalambe too from Western Kentucky, kid that has played different positions there, played on the perimeter, played the four, at times even played down size five. He's tough. He can shoot at some, good athlete in transition, should be a good defender for us. And then returning Tassos Cook was really important to me too. Like I think Tassos really showed some potential this past season at Campbell, and I think the way he plays with his ability to play out of ball screens, with his ability to read pick and roll, that he will be a little better fit for how we're going to play this coming season. So it's shaping together pretty good. We got a couple spots left, but I like where we're at.
Yeah, nice job there on the transfer portal. So, what is your philosophy in putting this together? As again, it's a totally different way of recruiting now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think for me, like, I wanted to hit the ground running and be able to have a pretty good team this first year.
Hmm.
And in college basketball, you got to get old, you know.
Yeah.
So we prioritize that a little bit. Now we've got a talented freshman, Clara Samir, who we believe in.
Mhm.
Came to us from Australia that we think is going to be pretty good. We may also be adding another freshman or two down the stretch, especially internationally, that I think will play real roles for us and be pretty good. But yeah, the transfer portal, I think, is going to be a big part of our recruitment here. It's been great to us at Florida. It's been great to us at Washington State. We've been able to find a lot of guys that are, either up transfers from lower levels, from the Division II level, from smaller schools, or even some guys from the high major level that need more minutes.
What are key basketball philosophies that have helped you become a part of what you define as your basketball acumen?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first one is just you got to get the right people on the bus. Like that is the most important thing to me in building a program, and that pertains to hiring staff, hiring assistant coaches, strength coach, trainer, but especially the guys we recruit. And for me, that means they got to have three things on a daily basis. They got to have a great attitude, they got to
Mhm.
work really, really hard, and they got to take pride in being at Campbell, and really grow where they're planted. And we live in a society now where there's a lot of outside opportunity, outside noise, options, and we need our guys to be able to put on the blinders a little bit and be all in on having a great season, both for Campbell collectively and individually as well.
Summer practice, it's always important. Obviously, in my opinion, it would be great if you could practice like, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks and then four teams get together and play maybe a double elimination just to
Yeah.
see where you are against the oppositions. As you look at summer practice, what are the results in building the positive identity you want to have with the Camels on and off the floor?
Yeah, I think you're building your culture
Mm.
first and foremost during the summer. And I told the team yesterday in our first workout, like the two things that are most important to me right now are our attitude and effort. Because if our attitude's good and we're going really hard, we can teach you everything else. We can get better at how we guard stuff or what we run or how we cut. And at this point of the year, like I'm going to really prioritize putting in our offense and skill development. Like those are the two things we're going to go hard on. So yesterday we did a lot of skill, but then we also took some time to get the basics of our early game and where everybody's going to be when they're coming down the floor, and how we're going to get the ball from side to side because I want to play the same way we did at Florida. It's a really exciting brand of basketball.
Definitely.
Puts up a lot of points. It leads to a lot of fun plays with dunks and open threes. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We won the national championship playing that way. So I think that would be pretty silly to go a different direction.
You worked as an assistant coach to Coach Kyle Smith at Washington State. How has he become an influence on your coaching career?
Yeah, Coach Smith, I actually worked for at Columbia, at San Francisco, and at Washington State. And he's probably the biggest mentor in my career, so better part of 10 years with him. And he knows how to run a program as well as anybody in the country. The organization that goes into it, how important the character piece is, how important it is to get people with great attitudes, great work ethics, pride in the program, and especially guys that have their priorities in order. And then obviously there's a lot of basketball and recruiting that goes into that too. But if I had to attribute this opportunity and whatever success I've had in my career to one person, it would definitely be him.
You come into a new program, so what are some things you evaluate on film, maybe to get an idea of the style of teams you will see here in the Coastal Athletic Association?
Yeah, a lot of different playing styles. I mean, some teams are very athletic and up tempo. Other teams are very deliberate and run a lot of Princeton offense type concepts. So that makes for a great league. Styles make fights, and you're never really going to know what night what you're going to have to be ready for, especially once we get to the conference tournament time. So we're going to have a team with strong principles. We're going to have defined beliefs about how we're going to play on both sides of the ball so that we can be ready to adapt quickly to whatever we might see. But it's a great mid-major league. I'm excited to be a part of it.
Very much so. Yes, very much so. Last thing, Coach, Indiana OKC now are tied 1-1. We go to game three tonight in Indianapolis. What's your take on the matchup and how Indiana can maybe extend this series as they did pick up the win in game one, although they only led for 3/10 of a second?
No doubt. I will say this just from the start. The OKC Thunder head coach, Mark Dagnall, actually was an assistant at Florida.
Yes.
And he's one of the guys that I reached out to once I became the defensive coordinator at Florida. So whatever. I got some appreciation, some affinity there for sure. But in terms of the Pacers piece of this, they got to be who they are. They are an outstanding offensive team that plays with pace, that is really hard to guard, and that needs to win the day. Like it's a fun series because it's a styles make fight series. It's the best defense in the NBA, perhaps a historically good defense in the NBA against an elite offensive team, a team that gets a lot of open threes, that creates wide open layups. And if the Pacers are going to win the series, they're going to have to string together a couple games where OKC can't really guard them. I think that's important.
Coach John Andrzejek comes on to marching to madness, goes through the layup line, doesn't miss, even hit a couple of 15 footers here, Coach. Appreciate your time, appreciate your efforts as a coach, and now going to Camel to create your own system, your own program with an excellent staff. So thanks a lot for
Excellent.
coming on.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you, Ken, for having me here. I'm very excited. Go roll humps.
Roll ups, there you go. Good luck to you.